I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not hear me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Start it from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not. Because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through. I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not. Because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go. The only thing that I know, you were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. What do you think that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity. 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 I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not hear me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Start it from scratch. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go. 'Cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not.
Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome as we get ready to cap off what's been an exciting race weekend here from the World Center of Racing, our second trip to Daytona International Speedway as it gets ready to play host for race number 34 of the 8th season of the NCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. More importantly, playoff race number 8. This is the middle race of the round of 8 here as we get ready to find out who the remaining 3 drivers will be. That will be a part of the Final Four to compete for the championship when we get to Michigan, the season finale in 2 weeks' time. I mentioned 3 drivers, as we already know one of the 4 drivers that will be competing for the championship when we get to Michigan, going to victory lane last week at Boston International Speedway, that being Daniel Voiles. He comes into this wildcard race at Daytona, next week's race at Rockingham, already with the golden ticket locked into the Final Four. That means that at the very most, 3 drivers are going to point their way into the Final Four during the span of these next 2 races, but we could end up seeing one of our remaining 7 playoff contenders go to victory lane here in this one, joining Daniel Voiles and then leaving it down to a maximum of 2 drivers pointing their way in, dependent on circumstances next week when we get to Rockingham, North Carolina. Now, much like it was yesterday in the Light Series race here from Daytona, the ratio, the percentage, the odds, if you will, are not in favor of a playoff driver going to victory lane. If you don't count Daniel Voiles, who's already locked into the Final Four, there are 7 drivers in the course of a 42-car field, which is a 1 in 6 ratio right now. That's the chances of a playoff driver going to victory lane here this afternoon. However, we ended up having 31 drivers take the green flag here yesterday in the Light Series race, and one of our playoff contenders did go to victory lane in Eli Bright, locking himself a spot in the Final Four on the Light Series championship side. So, while the odds are not in favor of a playoff driver winning here this afternoon, that does not mean that these 7 remaining playoff drivers are not going to try and be an odds beater. We are here in Daytona Beach, Florida, and we've got an all-Floridian front row. Now, granted, Michael Norman's roots are in the state of Ohio, but he currently resides in Florida, as does the driver alongside of him, Cody Lama. So we are going to call it an all-Florida front row. A couple of drivers at their home tracks, though more so for Michael Norman since he is closer to Daytona than Homestead. Cody is closer to Homestead than Daytona, but they're both Florida-based drivers, so we're going to consider this a home track start for the both of them, and they're going to share the front row. Michael Norman, coming off a victory earlier on this season at Watkins Glen International, was a playoff contender but got eliminated back in the first round, looking to end out the season with at least another checkered flag, be a multi-time winner here in Season 8. For Cody Lamas, he's still looking for that trip to victory lane, but he has been on a tremendous consistent streak here in the last month and a half. He is now 26th in the point standings. This is a driver that was having such difficulty getting even into the top 35 in points for a good first half of this season. We'll see if they can put it all together here today. Northeast Motorsports brought some fast Chevrolets. I believe they've got 3 of them starting inside of the top 10, and 2 of them are going to make up row number 2. Connor Breton looking to join Dustin Bowler as a 4-time winner on the season, going to be on the inside of that second row. Austin LaPlante, who comes into this race last of those that have taken all 33 green flags so far this season, just trying to get this season turned around on a high note in these final 3 races of Season 8. Good starting track position. We'll see how that translates for him. I've said it all weekend long. We saw it come into play here yesterday in the late series race. Track position is important for 2 reasons. 1, you want to be up at the front so you can be ahead of the dreaded big one. And we saw 2 big ones in the late series race here yesterday. So fully expect to see potentially a big wreck, a playoff shakeup, if you will, due to a wreck here this afternoon in the Cup Series side. The other reason, pit road selection. You qualify up at the front, you're going to get a pit stall closer down towards the exit of pit road. More specifically, during yellow flag pit stops, that could be very important in allowing you to gain track position. We'll see how it all plays out here. The playoffs coming into this race, the playoff standings, they are quite close, specifically around that cut line, and we'll document that here in just a moment. But it's time to go down trackside and get those most famous words in motorsports. Get ready to go racing here at Daytona.
Drivers, start your engines.
As the 42 cars make their way off the grid behind the Toyota Camry pace car, you'll see on the bottom right of your screen your starting lineup for this race. Your playoff drivers highlighted in yellow. Of course, as we mentioned, Daniel Voiles is the only driver that is locked into the Final Four. The other 7 still yet to be determined. Speaking of those 7 drivers, Daniel Voiles, with his victory last week at Boston, is at the top of the point standings. Alexander Rowe is currently in second. We're going to be talking about the cut line, 4th in the standings. He is plus 12 to that cut line coming into this race. RJ Bishop is 3rd in points. He is 7 points to the good above the cut line. That cut line currently is Bishop's teammate, Dustin Bolin. Bolin is going to be the benchmark, if you will, the measuring stick in this afternoon's race. Jack Mitchell comes into this one only 1 point outside of that 4th in the standings cut line, as he's 5th in the overall standings. Nick Gunther, who I believe is the highest starting of the playoff drivers, rolling off 5th on the grid, is -2, 6th in the standings. Carson Gum, who is the only former champion of the series, looking to be a multi-time champion here in the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. He's 7th in points. He's a total of 8 points back from the cut line. Reggie Fogelman is the last driver right now of our Elite 8. He sits 8th in the standings. He is a total of 17 points below the cut line. Any one of these remaining 7 drivers could point their way above the cut line or win their way into the Final Four, depending on circumstances, during the course of 64 laps. It is the 2nd time that Daytona has made an appearance in the playoffs. Its first season was last year, Season 7. Mitchell Collins went to victory lane, so we are guaranteed a new 2nd Daytona race winner here in Season 8. Who will it be? We're going to find out. Green flag is waving, and we're playoff racing at Daytona. Down the back straightaway, starting to see that inside line get a bit of a charge here. Heading into turn 3, Connor Breton with a little bit of a bubble push there from Nick Gunther and Anthony McCurry, a couple of Mazdas. 3 wide back around the 7th position on the inside line. That's Matt Haas, who went to victory lane the last time we were here at Daytona, winning the Daytona 500, now eliminated from the playoffs after the most recent round of 12. And looking to find victory lane for the 4th time this season, no longer with the pressure of contending for a championship. Connor Breen was able to clear. Michael Norman immediately moves up to that high line. If you didn't tune into our race here yesterday, the outside line is more preferred right up against the wall on the straightaway, specifically the back straightaway, because you got a better chance of everybody being lined up and giving you the draft you need. In the corners, however, we've seen the middle line, we've seen the inside line be able to work. As a matter of fact, it was a pass on the inside off of turn 4 that got Eli Bright the victory here yesterday, securing him a spot in the Final Four for the Light Series. As here comes Matt Haas up the middle. Cole Deaver is going to lead the inside line here as we are stacked up 3 wide, about 7 rows deep, then double wide through the rest of the field. It's been a struggling year for Cole Deaver. Coming into this one, 36th in points, only 1 top 5 and 4 top 10s here this season for Cole. Would love to get the legendary number 3 in victory lane here at Daytona. I mentioned about the fact that this is only the 2nd season that Daytona has made an appearance during the playoffs. Primarily, we were at Talladega for a majority of the seasons. That was from, I believe, seasons 2 to 6, our inaugural season. We ended up having a super speedway in this slot in the playoffs, but it was Armory Digital Super Speedway. Gridlocked at the front here. Breton still leading the outside line. Haas in the middle. And Deaver on the bottom. Who gets the edge here coming to the stripe? It is going to be that 3rd lane. Breton's going to lead that lap. As now you see the inside line getting an advantage there with Cole Deaver. If Deaver can get himself clear of the 8, he might move up to the middle line. But I don't think he was able to do so. Haas brings himself right back alongside. And look how Breton, he was about half a car length behind the 2. Look at the launch he's able to get down the back straightaway. A big reason for that is, as I mentioned, when you're up there on that outside line against the wall, you're boxed in. There's nowhere you can go. You've got no choice but to push the car in front of you. A lot of times we'll end up seeing when the field gets spread out, there are options in that middle and inside line to try and make passes. The draft doesn't remain quite as tight. But right now it is a tight draft in all 3 lanes, as really there's nowhere for anybody to be able to go in the respective lanes. Only choice they've got, try and push their line forward. And look who's chilling at the back there. Daniel Voiles in that Oreo Dark Horse Mustang. He's already locked into the next round. He doesn't have to force the issue here, so he's just chilling at the back right now, waiting to see what happens. He's got that freedom, got that luxury of the victory last week at Boston. You may see him play a little bit of a different strategy here in this race than we would have had he not already gotten himself locked in to the Final Four. Something else that's going to be interesting to keep track of as well. These drivers here in the Cup Series run CTS physics, just like the lights drivers did here yesterday. Yesterday, we were not able to get an accurate read of what the fuel window really is. We had a couple of cautions, and the timing of those yellows ended up not allowing drivers to make green flag pit stops. They were able to make pit stops rather under caution, and I believe that the last big one we had pretty much got them the rest of the way that they needed to go on fuel. So we don't know exactly what the fuel window is for these drivers if they have to make green flag pit stops. So it's a bit of a mystery. We do have some speculations as to what it is, but there is no confirmation. The speculation is that these drivers should be able to go somewhere around 30 laps before having to hit pit lane, which would put them somewhere in the vicinity of halfway. If they can get to about 32, 33 laps, they should be able to make this entire race on just one pit stop. With how close we are, 3 wide, several rows deep, it's very difficult to kind of pinpoint just exactly where our playoff drivers are running. Nick Gunther is obviously the highest running. You see the gold playoff spoiler on his number 55, second car in that middle line. Looking back here, it looks like a couple cars behind him in that middle line is the Dunkin' Donuts number 46 of Alexander Rowe. That would be somewhere around 10th, 11th, 12th position. Aside from that, as I'm looking back through here, I'm not really seeing any other gold playoff spoilers. I see way back there Carson Gum in the middle line in the 19. You can see Dustin Bolin back there. He, remember, is the cut line driver, fourth in the stage coming into this one. Reggie Fogelman's back there on the outside line, that black and purple Taco Bell Toyota. Jack Mitchell's on the inside line, but he's also way back towards the rear of the field. So a number of our Elite 8 currently towards the rear, and we ended up having, if I recall correctly, what was it, 4 playoff drivers in qualifying yesterday not even qualify into the top 30 in terms of speed. Voiles, who's already locked in, but also Destin Bolin, RJ Bishop, and Carson Gum qualified 38th through 40th. If I recall correctly, in the lights race, I think that a couple of drivers that started at the rear of the field there only took them about 6-7 laps to work their way to the front. That's not been the case here in this one. A lot harder to pass, obviously, since all 3 lanes are pretty much occupied. Matt Haas was able to, in that middle line, clear Connor Breeden for the lead, and the Daytona 500 winner here that opened up the season is now out in front leading the race. He's going to have a challenge down low from the 47 of Jesse Turner. Jesse coming into this race in the 25th position in points. Only 4 top 5, 7 top 10s in the first 33 races. A former multi-time playoff contender. Did not make the playoffs this season. A down year for the team owner at Lake Effect Autosport. He'd love to go to victory lane here tonight at Daytona, and look who's heading up the inside line now. The defending champion of the series, Jessica Shelton, in that Project Dodge Intrepid out of S3 Motorsports. S3 Motorsports championship reign going to end at 3 straight seasons. Season 5, it was a collaboration of Kyle Matthews, Stephen Pollard III, and Caleb Fogler. Season 6, it was Charles Sanford, and last season, it was Jessica Shelton. But none of the S3 Motorsports drivers made it into the playoffs here this season, and it's really been a tough sledding for Jessica Shelton, who is climbing up the point standings. Let's make a note of that. She is starting to ascend up the point standings after being down 38th, 39th, 40th in points for most of Season 8. She's now been able to at least make her way up to 33rd in points, been putting together a good latter portion of the season during the playoffs, and maybe can ride that momentum into Season 9. Eric Monaco now heading up the inside line there in the 45. Of course, Eric Monaco. Whoa, hold the shot! We've got a big wreck in the back. Caution is out. First caution of the afternoon. Massive one near the rear of the field as Matt Haas will bring us back to the yellow at the completion of lap 13. But that was a big multi-car wreck towards the rear of the field, and there may have been some playoff drivers collected up in it. Let's make sure, too, that these drivers safely woe up and catching the pace car. We ended up having a couple of drivers stack up in yesterday's light series race. Looks like everybody's got it woed down, and we're going to be good in that regard, so that's nice to see. Now it's a question of who was involved in the wreck. Looks like Joshua Osborne, Dylan Poteet. There's one of our playoff drivers that was in it. RJ Bishop, Carson Gum as well. Eric Sadler was in that. Summer Henson might have been involved. Maybe LaPlante and Matthews, though we're going to have to look at the replay to find out. There is left side damage on the Fastenal Toyota Camry of Carson Gum. Hard to really diagnose the 98 of RJ Bishop. Maybe a little bit pushed up there on the nose, but I really can't tell. That was a corner wreck as also, so those are some of the toughest to dodge. It looks like we may have some split strategy here of some drivers coming to pit road and some drivers staying out. This is interesting. I would have thought that everybody would be on pit road right here, right now. That may not be the case. We'll figure all that out as we come back here from the replay. Let's take a look and see what exactly happened. And I'm going to make a guess. Were we 4 wide? We had been 3 wide for a good portion of this. Did we attempt 4 wide, and was that the deciding factor in all of that? Let's see. Oh no, we ended up having a move there by, I think that was Summer Henson making a move on Austin LaPlante. The two of them get together, and it ends up being a chain reaction that goes up about 2-3 cars in front of them. Carson Gum and Summer Henson took some good shots with the back end of their race cars into the outside wall, as we'll look from the chopper cam here. Watch on the bottom of your screen. Yeah, Summer makes a move on LaPlante. Carson's making a move on Summer, and right there. The left front of Carson Gum and the back end of Summer Henson making some pretty good contact up into the safer barrier. They may have sustained the most damage out of anybody. We'll watch again here the Carson Gum machine. I mean, let's see, just how hard of an impact really was it? That's a good shot. That's a pretty good shot with the left front. I don't know about RJ Bishop. He might be okay. I think he kind of got swept up. Dylan Poteet there as well, so both of the Fortnite Squad Racing cars were involved in this wreck. 2 of the Young Motorsports Fords. So it really wasn't 4 wide. It wasn't really even an attempt for 4 wide. It was just some moves there towards the rear of the field and some contact made between the 48 and the 78 that ended up causing this first wreck. So we did indeed have some split strategy here. Number of drivers, including then race leader Matt Haas, came to pit road. Eric Monaco decides to stay out, as did a number of other drivers. We'll have to see what the total of drivers that pit to the number of drivers that did not pit is, and I'd be curious to know exactly why drivers elected to stay out. It's looking like 14 drivers in total did not come to pit road, which is very perplexing to me, but I'm not the crew chief on the pit box. And again, we don't know what the fuel window is. They obviously do, and that may play a part into their strategy. Well, one driver going into next week that is going to more than likely be in a must-win situation at Rockingham is the only driver in this round of 8 that has formally won a championship here in the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series, that being Carson Gum. Carson came into this race 7th of the 8 playoff drivers. He was a total of 8 points below the cut line, but he was the only driver in that wreck that came down pit road and has made the left-hand turn to the garage area. You have to assume that that impact, the front end of the race car, may have completely caused issues, damage around the radiator, may have caused some problems with the engine. He's out of the race. He'll finish dead last, 42nd here tonight. With that being said, I believe he is going to be so far below the cut line going into next week at Rockingham, he will have to win that race to have a shot at being a multi-time champion here in the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. So, interesting point of note, of all the drivers that stayed out, only one of them is a playoff contender, that being, well, actually two of them playoff contenders. Jack Mitchell being one of them. He's going to restart in 7th. Daniel Voiles is the other, playing a little unorthodox strategy, having the luxury of doing so with his win last week at Boston. He's going to restart in 9th. We'll have to see how it plays out. As mentioned, top 14 drivers all stayed out. That would be Eric Monaco, Kyler Sustre, Laura Chung, Levi McIntyre, Keith Batson. That's your top 5. Jessica Schulten, Jack Mitchell, Bryce Egan, Daniel Voiles, James Qualls, your top 10. Then Kyle Langland, Caleb Fogler, and Cole Deaver. Those were the drivers, I believe, that stayed out. No, correction, Fogler was the last driver, 12th place. Deaver actually won the battle off of pit road, restarting in 13th place with Zachary Fitzwater and Matt Haas, 2nd and 3rd off pit lane, and 14th and 15th for this restart. So it looks like we had some varying strategies for those that pit as well. Some going with fuel only, some electing to go with Goodyear tires. Lights out atop the pace car. Eric Monaco, we were going to talk about him before that wreck occurred. Currently leading the rookie point standings, 2 points in hand over Summer Henson, and Henson was involved in this caution, so may be able to open up some distance with a couple of races remaining. Remember, Light Series drivers have the opportunity, if they win the championship here in Season 2, of having a guaranteed chartered ride for Season 9 of the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. Eric Monaco was able to do that from Season 1 of the Light Series, winning the championship. He's made the most of it here at Lake Effect Autosport, as mentioned, firmly in that battle for Rookie of the Year. Picked up a victory earlier on in the playoffs back at Gateway, and has had himself overall a pretty good season. As a matter of fact, Eric Monaco coming into this race is the highest driver in the point standings that has not been in the playoffs. 17th in overall points. Green flag back in the air here. Eric Monaco will get us back underway, and now it will be really interesting to see just how far can these top 12 drivers go before having to come to pit road. So the only thing I could potentially think of here is these drivers that stayed out. Their thought process is this caution gives us enough pacing laps to save fuel, get to around the halfway point, and then we can all hit pit road and be good to make it the rest of the way. The drivers that are behind them, they want to be able to run a little longer just in case we end up having a wreck or something like that. They're probably not even able to make it on fuel at this point in time, so they're giving up the track position, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Remember, we were gridlocked 3 wide, several rows deep beginning of this race. Now we're only double wide here, so a lot more maneuverability. We'll see if drivers towards the mid-pack rear of the field on the restart will be able to make their way up towards the front as Kyler Sustre looks to the bottom on Eric Monaco. He's got a fellow Camry in his rearview mirror in Laura Chung, but now Chung shading maybe 3 wide here on the inside. Levi McIntyre will move to the middle line with Kyler Sustre. Monaco up on that top side. No drafting help here through 3 and 4. Kyler Sustre trying to clear. Monaco can't do it, but Chung will clear all 3 lanes. Laura Chung in that Yahoo Toyota Camry out of Auto Junction Racing will go to the point. Laura is 31st in points coming into this one, still looking for that first victory of Season 8. And here comes Bryce Egan to the bottom. We had a number of drivers pull double duty here this weekend. Lights drivers participating in the Cup Series, Cup drivers participating in the Light Series. Bryce Egan, he didn't finish all that well. He had a damaged race car in the All-Star Car for Trackhouse Racing here yesterday afternoon, but he got himself some track time nonetheless, and he's putting it to good use here, making his 15th start as a non-charter entry. The other driver in the field that was able to qualify his way in, Kyle Langland. Langland making his 9th start on the season in that second entry out of World NOS Racing. We saw him in the Lights race here yesterday as well. Finished a solid top 10. Monaco back for the top position here on Laura Chung, and he's got some help from the 39 of Keith Batson. Now, obviously, staying out under that caution would aid some potential drivers that started out back into running where they are now. If we're looking at the driver that has started the furthest back, that is currently running up towards the front, that would be Laura Chung. Laura Chung in the 77 started in the last row, 41st place, and now leads that lap out in front here in this one. Eric Monaco, who's battling alongside of her in that middle line, he started this race in 36th. So we are definitely seeing drivers having the capabilities of working their way through the field. How about Destin Boland? Just saw him on that inside line, right behind the pole sitter Michael Norman. Destin was the benchmark driver, 4th in the standings coming into this race in concerns of the playoff. He is the cut line. He started this race from 38th. He now finds himself up here a third of the way through this one, inside of the top 5, unofficially in the 2nd position. And right behind him, a couple of cars back, is Reggie Fogelman. Fogelman started this race from 14th. We saw him drift all the way to the back at the start of this one. He's now made his way up towards the front as he's cracked into the top 10, looking to move into the top 5 in that Taco Bell Toyota Camry. Right behind him as well, when I was talking about Eric Monaco, I didn't realize just how good a second half Anthony McCurry has put together here in Season 8. Anthony was a driver that was down there in the conversation with Cole Deaver and Kyle Matthews, Austin LaPlante, Dylan Poteet, struggling to get up into the top 30 in points. I just looked. Anthony is 17th in points, or correction, 18th in points. That is the second lowest of a driver that has not made it into the playoffs. So he has done a tremendous job second half of this season of working his way up through the point standings. I mean, looking at it right now, Anthony is actually tied for most top 10s on the season, along with Alexander Rowe and Jack Mitchell, playoff drivers. 12 top 10s here on the season. If I'm not mistaken, let me double check. I believe he's tied for most top 5s as well, with James Qualls and Alexander Rowe at 7. So he is tied in both top 5s and top 10s with playoff contenders as a non-playoff driver. That just shows what Anthony's been able to do here second half of the season. That is a tremendous turnaround. Still searching for that first victory of his career here, though, in Duracell Next Gen competition. As now, look at the blue ovals. We ended up seeing Fords be really strong here yesterday in the Light Series race. We're obviously seeing it again. Monaco leading. Michael Norman, obviously fast in qualifying, has worked his way back up to 2nd. Keith Batson right there. He was in 3rd, but now he's going to drift back a little bit there in that middle line. You got Destin Boland up here in the conversation as well. 4 Fords out of 4 different organizations. They're going to get broken up a bit, though. Highest Chevrolet is now Quentin Moore in the 89. Quentin coming into this race 28th in the point standings, and Quentin obviously looking for his first victory here of Season 8. Keep an eye on him as Joanna Motorsports did not fare all that well yesterday in the Light Series race. Both drivers, Cody Majorek and Jordan Anderson, finished out of the race, and we really haven't seen any of the other Joanna Motorsports cars up here towards the front. James Qualls, I think his highest he's been was up inside of the top 10, and Joshua Osborne appears to be off the pace after getting involved in the only caution up to this point. As a matter of fact, let's check in on those drivers involved in that wreck. There is Osborne, and it looks like Eric Sadler, Summer Henson, Dylan Poteet, Austin LaPlante, and RJ Bishop are all off the pace. That is not good if you are the 98 team, because that could maybe put you into must-win situation heading into Rockingham next week. RJ came into this race only 7 points to the good over his teammate Destin Boland. Destin Boland is right now running up inside of the top 5. So for Carson Gum and RJ Bishop, they may be going into next week's elimination race in a must-win situation. We'll have to obviously wait and see where all the other playoff drivers finish before we make any speculations on that. Here comes Benjamin Miles in the 25 car. We mentioned about Northeast Motorsports had some really good qualifying efforts here for a number of their machines. Breton and LaPlante started inside the top 5. Casey Hoyt started inside the top 10. The outlying car was Benjamin Miles, who started back in the 33rd position, but he is now the highest running of that team as he's side by side with Quentin Moore for second. Good push here from Alexander Rose, actually going to get him alongside of Eric Monaco for the top position as they make their way out of turn 4 and into the tri-oval. Speaking of Alexander Rowe, now leading that inside line after Miles moves up to the middle lane. Alexander Rose, second in points, 12 points to the good above the cut line, highest in the point standings that's not already locked into the Final Four. Big opportunity here for him to maybe win his way into the final round of the playoffs. And how about Lake Effect Autosport overall? You got the 45 leading, the 46 right now in third, and the other car is right there heading up the inside line, and Jesse Turner making his way back up to the front. He's going to try and battle for, I believe that's 5th place, with Daniel Bouchard and Dustin Bolin. So Lake Effect Autosport looking really good here in this one as we approach the halfway point. Nick Gunther now on that inside line in the 55. With Carson Gum out of the race, RJ Bishop off the pace. Big opportunity for drivers like a Jack Mitchell or a Nick Gunther to take advantage here and move themselves up above the 4th in the standings cut line. Where is Mitchell, actually? I just noticed. Oh, there he is. I at first didn't see him in the pack. He's actually on that inside line back there behind Casey Hoyt. So right now, Rowe, Gunther, Fogelman, Mitchell, let me double check, Dustin Bolin, I believe, are the 5 drivers that we're looking at right now that would be vying to get up above that 4th in the standings cut line, depending on how they are able to finish out this race. Something we dealt with quite a bit in yesterday's Light Series race that we haven't dealt with yet, but I think we're about to here on the Cup side, is slower traffic. Joshua Osborne just now making his way to the start-finish line. The leaders are thundering out of turn 4. We saw the field get really spread out when the race leaders, the front pack, would catch the slower lap traffic yesterday. They are double wide at the front, but they are 3 wide mid-pack to the rear of the field. They're going to have to figure out how to get around that 27 when they catch him, and it's more than likely going to split the field up a little bit into packs. They'll have to try and all work together to make it one big pack once again. Also, we have crossed the halfway point here. 32 laps are about to be completed. Remember, we had a bunch of drivers, 12 in total, that stayed out under that caution. They're going to have to come to pit road still, but with crossing the halfway threshold, I think it's safe to assume that everybody now is going to be able to make it on one pit stop. Jury is out whether those drivers that did pit under the caution can make it the rest of the way. I don't think they can, but we'll have to see. They will be about 12 laps further on fuel than the other drivers that are ended up staying out and are going to have to hit pit road earlier. As now you see they've approached Joshua Osborne. That was a bad spot there in the middle of 1 and 2. Inside line was the right lane to be, and that's going to put Kyle Langland to the point. Zachary Fitzwater will now move to second, and his teammate Benjamin Snyder now slots behind him in third. Fords 1, 2, 3, and 4, then a couple of Chevrolets. Jack Mitchell, that worked out big for that playoff driver as he's going to work his way up to the top 10 now. There's Levi McIntyre in the 99. Levi started this race shotgun on the field halfway through this race, and he's now up inside of the top 10. Matt McIntyre is up here now. Caleb Fogler. Kyle Matthews, I was noticing the 09. He was kind of the caboose on the train of the lead pack, and now he's up here in the top 10. This all in part to the drivers picking the right line here when they approach that 27 Joshua Osborne, which it looks like still drivers are having some difficulty getting around. Some drivers trapped up there on that outside line. Daniel Bouchard in the 33, Keith Batts in the 39. You got a playoff driver tucked up there as well in Destin Bolin. These drivers all trying to make their way through, trying to get by organized as quickly as they can. The good news for them is it looks like we're 3 wide, several rows deep up here. So if those drivers, those stragglers trying to get around Osborne are able to get themselves single filed up, they should be able to catch up and make this one big pack again. They should not be in danger of losing the draft. As here comes Levi McIntyre. He's going to actually clear all 3 lanes, and he's going to go to the front. Levi coming into this one was one of 2 drivers that got into the playoffs without a victory, relied on the consistency to point his way in through the top 10, but he's still looking for that first checkered flag of season 8, and now after being eliminated back in the round of 12, doesn't have the pressure of worrying about points, worrying about the championship. He can be aggressive, and he'd love to pick up a victory here at Daytona. Jack Mitchell trying to get himself a bonus point for a lap led. Let me double check and see about playoff contenders. Have any of them led a lap so far in this race? I don't believe they have, but I'm going to double check just to be certain here on that information. Looks like one playoff driver has led a lap so far here in this one, and that was Destin Bolin. Everybody else that has led here so far during the course of this race, all non-playoff contenders. And we talk about how close the cut line is right now for the drivers for that final 4 positions. That 1 lap led bonus point could be a huge difference maker into whether you are going to either be the cut line, be above the cut line, or be below the cut line when we leave Rockingham next week. Still continuing to see the dominance of the Fords here, though, with McIntyre leading, and here comes Nathan Ormond up the inside line with help from another blue oval in Caleb Fogler. Nathan Ormond out of Michael Norman Motorsports. Former winner on the season. As a matter of fact, a former 2-time winner on the season, winning at both Manassas and then near the end of the season, the regular season finale at Auto Club. Would love to be a 3-time winner here. We've had we mentioned this in the Light Series. We had, I think it's 3 or 4 drivers that have gone to victory lane twice. We've got here in the Cup Series side multiple drivers that have gone to victory lane 3 or more times. Carson Gum, James Qualls, Matt Haas, Connor Breeden, all with 3 victories. Destin Bolin with 4 victories. So there's a number of drivers with 2 victories on the season that would love to join the 3-win club, like Nathan Ormond. You throw Daniel Voiles into that conversation, Reggie Fogelman, and Jack Mitchell, who we saw go to victory lane in the elimination race a few weeks ago at Arizona. Here we go. Pit stops taking place. These are the drivers that stayed out under our only caution. Fogler, McIntyre, Voiles, Laura Chung, Bryce Egan, James Qualls, all coming to pit lane. So let's do the math here. 12 laps. Well, about 12 laps in. This looks like Keith Batson's already made a pit stop too. 12 laps into this race, 13 laps I should say, when that caution came out. Most everybody came down pit road with the exception of 12 drivers. If we add 12 or 13 laps onto where we're at right now, that puts us around the lap 51 to 52 mark. That means that we are not able to make it the rest of the way on fuel for everybody else that came to pit road under that caution. Kyle Matthews and Keith Batson, they made their pit stops already. The field has swallowed them up. They're going to be a lap down, but this is a good scenario for them because they're going to at least be in the draft here. They will be off the lead lap, but they need this thing to run green. They need to have all these other drivers come to pit road here before this race is over. Saw Kyler Sustre pitting from the rear of the field there just moments ago. Here come those drivers that we saw coming to pit lane, coming off of pit road there. Bryce Egan, James Qualls. You've also got Daniel Voiles and Laura Chung just up ahead. Looks like Fogler and McIntyre got themselves some good pit stops as they'll have some breathing space before the pack will be reeling them in. And now we're going to have to keep track, especially of the ticker here. Make sure that we are aware of who is a lap down after pitting and who is on the lead lap. Looked like Kyle Langland back there in the 93 was hitting pit road all by his lonesome. You don't really want to come to pit road by yourself. Eric Monaco might have missed pit road there in the 45, as he is slow on the apron, and we got to keep an eye on him because I believe he's slowing. He might be out of fuel. If that car stops on the racetrack, that might bring out the yellow. Hopefully that is not the case. Hopefully he's able to teleport to pit road before the field catches up to him or any oncoming cars, or hopefully he's deemed off the racing surface, but he is out of fuel, currently at around 75 miles per hour. I don't think he's going to make it back around. Oh man, this is a tense situation. If you are those drivers that just pit, you do not want to see the caution come out right here. Langland just now leaving pit road. We're 3 wide for the lead with Norman, McIntyre, and Fogler. But let's go back there to Monaco. And that 45 car, he is still crawling on the apron. 46 miles per hour, now 45. He's not going to be able to make it back around to his pit stall. We know that much. The question is going to be, will there be oncoming traffic when he comes to a full stop, or will he be able to teleport to pit road without the yellow coming out? In my opinion, they shouldn't throw the yellow if he stops on the racetrack because he's down below the yellow line. But that does not mean that it's not going to happen. So we'll keep tabs here as Jack Mitchell's made his pit stop there in the 0-1. He's going to go a lap down. He was another of those drivers that stayed out. He went about 42 laps. That's a pretty lengthy amount of time he was able to go there on fuel. That's pretty impressive. We're keeping an eye on the caution lights here on the flag stand. We're still green. Monaco, I think, is still rolling just a bit there. There he is as they bypass him on the apron. There's about a dozen drivers right now. Do not want to see the caution fly. Everybody else I don't think would care. They'd be fine coming to pit road here under yellow rather than under green. Jessica Shelton just completed her pit stop as Monaco continues to coast. He's at 9 miles per hour now to 8. I'm surprised he's made it this far. He's already made his way over into turn 4. I don't like this scenario, though. I feel like, well, the field's going to go by him again here. Question would be, if you're the leaders right now, would you dive onto pit road here, maybe with a caution potentially coming out, catch it at just the right time, and then leapfrog everybody else? I don't know. 45's come to a stop now. Oh, he's reversing on the track. No, please don't do that. Okay, he did teleport. Did we stay green? We stayed green. Okay, so all those drivers that have come to pit road have dodged a bullet right there. We will stay green. That's a tough break there for Eric Monaco, but that was heart-pumping moments right there for the drivers that need this to stay green to cycle back around on the lead lap. Everybody else here is going to have to come to pit road. That pit under our only caution up to this point. And that's going to be somewhere in the next 6 to 10 laps. I say 6 to 10 laps. I thought we were going to have them come to pit road around lap 52, but now I almost think that they could go maybe as far as lap 56, maybe 57, to show, basically based off of how far Jack Mitchell was able to go before he pit. Same for Jessica Shelton. So let's reset here as we're 3 wide for the lead. Michael Norman, the pole sitter, has led the last few laps, has gotten that run on the outside, but now he's going to be in the wrong lane behind Joshua Osborne. Inside line, led by Kyle Matthews, is going to be the correct lane to be in, as now he'll go to the front. Matt Haas will move to second, looking for the Daytona sweep off the heels of his Daytona 500 victory to kick off the season. So looking at this lead pack, I'm trying to figure out, did anybody manage to come out of pit road and mesh with this lead group. It does appear to be the case for Kyler Sustre, Levi McIntyre, Keith Batson, Caleb Fogler. I see Laura Chung. Daniel Voiles, I believe, is in this pack. What about Bryce Egan and James Qualls? I don't see the 9. I don't see the 70. Now here they are. Yeah, there's Casey Hoyt, who I think Casey's actually on the lead lap. Yeah, he is, but he lost the draft. Langland, Qualls, Egan, they've all pit. Jack Mitchell pit by himself, and you can see that didn't exactly pan out too well for him. Monaco, they've gotten him back out there, but he's lost multiple laps with what happened to him. Jessica Shelton's being scored 2 laps down in the 94 car. Saw her pit late. Oh, here we go. Brommer, Young, Sanford, LaPlante on pit road. These are all drivers that had already come to pit lane. Oh, and there's a massive wreck! Up into the wall, Jesse Turner and Daniel Bouchard. Oh, and more gonna pile in. Oh, my gracious. Quentin Moore is upside down. Daniel Bouchard went upside down. And this caution is going to come out right in the middle of pit stops. Big wreck there as Bouchard and Turner got together off of 2. Caution is going to wave. We were 3 wide coming back to the stripe. I believe Nathan Ormond got it over Lamas and Snyder. And that caution is going to hurt a number of those drivers that went with the strategy of staying out under the first yellow. This will also be the caution a number of these drivers wanted to see, as they will be able to make it on fuel. Nick Gunther just got spun by Connor Breton. Looks like he got it righted again. But this caution's going to come out, and this is going to shuffle the field up. It's going to trap some drivers more than likely onto the tail end of the lead lap. This is going to make for a very interesting restart as we are approaching 10 laps to go. Not quite there, about 15 laps to go at this point in time. We saw for the most part that wreck occur in live time. Let's watch it again. As Jesse Turner and Daniel Bouchard, who were running inside of the top 10, I do believe at the time, get together here. Let's see what exactly happens. It just looks like Turner runs Daniel Bouchard out of room. Squeezes him up into the wall. Nowhere for Quentin Moore to go. There's Laura Chung getting a piece of it. How the heck did Matt McIntyre get through that wreck? Anthony McCrory. We're talking about the great season he's been putting together. Jessica Shelton there. She was 2 laps down. There was an extended stay on pit road for her. Both the 33 and the 89 go upside down. Quentin Moore's car never actually got back on its wheels. Here's another look at it. Watch this as they're making their way through 1 and 2. I kind of wondered if Destin Bolin moving low here caused Jesse Turner to move up the racetrack, but no, Jesse was up the racetrack even before that. Handling of that car was obviously going away, and see Kyle Langland was in that, Bryce Egan in that. Both are non-charter drivers. I think Joshua Osborne might have been collected up in that one too. It just looked like Jesse Turner could not keep his car down in the middle lane, was up there pushing up off the corner, and nowhere for Daniel Bouchard to be able to go. Here's another look at it. Yeah, I don't think Destin Bolin looking low had anything to do with it. Whoa, man, Benjamin Miles and Matt McIntyre both barely getting through. Alexander Rowe was the car just ahead of Anthony McCurry. He was able to avoid. Anthony was not. We got to take some onboards here. Let's start with the 21 of Matt McIntyre. He was back behind this and probably, I think, should have gotten involved. He was able to go from top to bottom to avoid. This is on board with the Mako Mermaids Dark Horse Mustang. He and Benjamin Miles doing a great job of getting through that one. How about Alexander Rowe? This could keep his playoff hopes of advancing into the Final Four alive. Look how close this is. Wow, just got low enough there on Anthony McCurry, and that kind of boxed Anthony in where he ended up making contact with the 89. And I guarantee you that the camera did not survive on Quentin Moore, at least on his roof camera. Let's see about the in-car cockpit camera on the Love's Travel Stop Chevrolet. At this point in time, you're just praying it's going to tip back over, and it never does for Quentin Moore. So safety officials having to go out there and get that car turned back onto his wheels to be able to extract him from his race car. And now the field gets majorly shuffled up here as we had all the drivers that were on the lead lap come to pit road. They now know they can make it on fuel. We had some drivers stay out, so they'll be on the tail end of the lead lap, and it's going to shuffle up the running order for sure. Let's first document the drivers that are not going to reach the conclusion after being involved in that massive wreck there off of turn 2 and onto the back straightaway. That would include Daniel Bouchard, Quentin Moore, Anthony McCrory, Jesse Turner, Laura Chung, Bryce Egan, and Joshua Osborne. They're going to join Carson Gum in the garage area. Jessica Schulten will continue 2 laps down. Eric Monaco is 5 laps down. Drivers 1 lap down right now. Surprisingly, it's not as many as I thought. Levi McIntyre, Keith Batson, Kyler Sustre, Caleb Fogler, James Qualls, Jack Mitchell, Austin LaPlante, and Kyle Langland. That is 25th to 32nd right now. One of the most notable names I mentioned there is Jack Mitchell. He's going to line up there on that inside line in the 0-1. Came into this race 1 point below the cut line, and could find himself still below the cut line at the conclusion of this one, as right now he is the lowest driver running of the playoff contenders. Of course, the lowest being Carson Gum, but he's out of the race, finishing dead last. Now, Daniel Voiles is going to lead us to green. He is not the leader. He was one of those drivers that came to pit road. However, he stayed out when all the leaders pit. He will be on the tail end of the lead lap in 24th position. The leader of this race will line up behind him. That is Cody Lamas. Lamas will restart ahead of second place Nathan Ormond. Third place is Benjamin Snyder. Kyle Matthews is 4th, and Matt Haas is going to complete the top 5. Rest of your top 10 are going to be Casey Hoyt, Ryan Brommer, Dylan Young, Charles Sanford, and Michael Norman. So we know Carson Gum's out of the race. We know Jack Mitchell is a lap down. Daniel Voiles is on the tail end of the lead lap. Where are the other playoff drivers? Well, Destin Boland's going to restart in 12th. Nick Gunther in 14th place. RJ Bishop will be 16th with Alexander Rowe in 18th position. That is where your remaining playoff drivers will be restarting for this, looks like 11-lap shootout to decide it here at Daytona. To my knowledge, the 99, the 39, the 4, the 28, the 70, the 01, the 48, the 45, all on that inside line, they're up to speed. They could try to race their way back onto the tail end of the lead lap, hope for a quick yellow, and try and make some forward progress late in this one, but they would need the yellow flag to come out sooner rather than later. Here we go. Cody Lamas, he's the race leader. He's going to have a lot of choices to make here with the traffic in front of him that are all up to speed to my general knowledge. I believe the only driver right now that is out there on the racetrack that there's a question mark of if they're up to speed would be Jessica Shelton after having that lengthy stay on pit road that lost her a couple of laps. But looking back, it looks like she is, well, she might not be up to speed. They're splitting her 3 wide. We'll see. We'll see if she is up to speed or not. It looks like maybe down the back straightaway she's losing a little bit of speed there, so might have some damage, aero damage on that Dodge Intrepid. Cody going to try and put Daniel Voiles a lap down. Again, for Daniel Voiles, this would be a horrible scenario as, hold on, Cody and Casey Hoyt are coming to pit road. Why they're coming to pit road, I'm not sure, but they are. That's from the lead. Cody Lamas pitting from the lead. Why are they pitting? They both came down pit road. There can't possibly be a restart violation. Know that much. I don't understand what's going on there at all. I am completely perplexed on why the 84 and the 24 just hit pit road. They should be good to make it on fuel. They came down pit road under this caution period. I don't have any answers on that one. Nathan Ormond is the race leader. Kyler Sustre is a lap down machine. This is not for position. This, however, is now Benjamin Snyder with help from Kyle Matthews. Well, that help went away quickly as Matthews going to look 3 wide exiting the tri-oval. Keith Batson in the 39. He is a lap car. I believe Ryan Brommer in the 87. He is on the lead lap. As there is Hoyt and Lamas leaving pit road. I, again, not 100% certain what was going on with those two. As Cody pit from the lead after he brought us back to the green there for that restart. Now Benjamin Snyder, Nathan Ormond, a couple of Fords. They are side by side for the race lead. Ormond looking for his 3rd win on the season. Benjamin Snyder still looking for his 1st for Blue Oval Automotive, which right now we're not 100% certain if that organization is going to be even coming back in season 9. Trying to see if there's any playoff drivers right now that have a shot of winning their way into the Final 4. Right now, your highest, at least up here at the front of the field, playoff contenders are a lap down. Mitchell in the 01 and Voiles in the 26. There's Reggie Fogelman in the middle line there. Alexander Rowe on the bottom. Destin Bowen at the rear end of this pack, as well as Nick Gunther and RJ Bishop. But time is ticking away as Benjamin Snyder led that lap. He is flanked on left and right by lap machines there. Keith Batson and Kyler Sustre. Now Kyle Matthews trying to get alongside of him on that inside line. Look who he's got behind him, Dylan Young. We talk about Florida natives. We had Cody Lamas and Michael Norman starting the front row here tonight. Dylan Young, originally from the Chicago area, but a Florida resident as well. This is a home track for him. Looking for his 2nd win on the season. And he's hooked right up there with his We the Coasters buddy, Kyle Matthews, on that inside line. Here comes Ryan Brommer up the middle. Ryan getting eliminated back in the round of 12. Looking for his 2nd win in Season 8 after he ended up getting the victory back at one of the Crown Jewel races of Charlotte. And he'll get alongside of Benjamin Snyder here down the back straightaway. Lamas and Hoyt trying to pray that a caution would come out to save them here. The way they're racing, they might get it. We're 3 wide all the way back through the field. Just takes that one little mistake as Brommer clears to the point with help from the lap car of Jack Mitchell. They are going to catch the 84 and the 24 here, who are up to speed, but obviously slower than this lead pack. Ooh, I don't like the look of this. Matthews going to move up to that middle line there. We were almost looking 4 wide. That's what made me nervous. A little surprised Matthews decided to abandon the inside line here. As here we go, they're getting ready to close up on those race cars. Is somebody coming to pit lane? The way these drivers all kind of spread out, it almost made me wonder if somebody had their hand out the window and they were coming to pit road. Apparently that's not the case. And Brommer on that inside line is going to get by Casey Hoyt. He'll now get by Cody Lamas. He'll keep the top position. Dylan Young somehow went from the bottom up to the top, and that's going to cost him. I don't know how he got up 3 lanes to be able to be boxed in like that, but he was. As now Benjamin Snyder makes a move low on Ryan Brommer. Nathan Orman is going to come up there with him, and how about Matt McIntyre? Now on the back bumper of his teammate there in the 21 car. Michael Norman Motorsports lined up nose to tail. It's like Kyle Matthews, Connor Breton, no friends on that inside line there. They're starting to drift back. As at the stripe, 3 laps to go here from Daytona. Ryan Brommer trying to hang on for his second win on the season. Benjamin Snyder with help from Mustangs on that inside line, trying to stay alongside of him down the back straightaway. Right now, Ryan Brommer's got 3, make it 4, make it 5 lap cars, helping him in that outside line from Mitchell back to Voiles. Third line trying to form back there. Kyle Matthews, Connor Breton, Alexander Rowe. If drivers see that, they're going to start moving down there to try and help tow that line. Coming to 2 to go here from Daytona. Half a car length advantage for Ryan Brommer. We saw a last lap pass here yesterday in the Light Series race. Will we see the same here on the Cup side? Orman looks like he really wants to go down there to that inside line with Kyle Matthews. Kyle's going to get a big push here down the back straightaway with the help of Connor Breton. These drivers going to have to start making decisions here in this middle line. Here comes Matthews. Look at the momentum that group carried through the center of the corner. And this time by is going to be the white flag. Ryan Brommer leads. We're stacked up for second. Matthews, what does he do if he's able to get clear? Looking for Breton to give him that push again here. Down the back straightaway. Brommer is still clear of all 3 lanes. Can Matthews put together a run? Can Snyder get a run in the middle groove with help from Ormond? Brommer is still clear. Mitchell shoving the heck out of him in that top line. I don't think that Brommer's going to get a challenge. Off of 4, he can choose whatever lane he wants to block. Ryan Brommer going to be a multi-time winner here in Season 8 as he'll take the checkered flag tonight at Daytona. And you think about what might have been for Ryan Brommer had he not been eliminated back during that round of 12. This win would have locked him a spot into the Final Four. Ryan Brommer, who was the runner-up for the championship back in, I believe it was Season 2, when Ryan Acosta ended up winning the championship. But for Ryan Brommer, another big victory for him. He won at Charlotte. He wins tonight at Daytona. He joins the multi-win club here in Season 8. And Toyota Camrys will sweep the Daytona races here in Season 8. Ryan ended up leading the last 6 laps. And out of curiosity, where did he start this race? He started 12th. Benjamin Snyder is going to bring it home in second. Kyle Matthews is going to finish in 3rd. That might be his best finish of the season, as both were hoping that their respective lines were going to propel them to the front, but it was that outside line that prevailed, and Ryan Brommer got a lot of help there. The final run to the checkered flag from the lap car of Jack Mitchell. Nathan Ormond is going to bring it home in 4th. 5th is going to be Connor Breton. Alexander Rowe is going to be the highest finisher of the playoff contenders here in this one, as he will finish in 6th. He came in above the cut line. He should stay above the cut line. He could be in a pretty good spot going into next week at Rockingham to maybe advance his way into the Final Four through points. How about Michael Norman Motorsports as a whole here today? You got Orman that finishes 4th, Matt McIntyre in 7th, and Michael Norman, after starting on the pole, brings it home in 8th. Good effort by that entire organization. Nick Gunther is going to be the second highest finisher of the playoff contenders. He came into this race only 2 points below the cut line. This is going to be a good points day for him. This should put him above the cut line, but by how much, we'll have to wait and see. And Zachary Fitzwater going to finish solidly in the 10th position. He and Benjamin Snyder, good efforts there for Blue Oval Automotive here today. R.J. Bishop, we saw him off the pace. He had lost the lead pack before that second caution came out, was able to catch back up. They spent a little extra time repairing damage under that yellow. He's going to finish in 11th place. This car was not at all looking like it was destined for a finish anywhere close to the top 10. He came in above the cut line by 7. He should remain above the cut line. He could be in a good position going into next week as RJ finishes 11th. Charles Sanford, we didn't talk about Charles hardly at all tonight. Good run for the former champion in 12th. Dylan Young in 13th. Matt Haas wondered if he could pull off the Daytona sweep. He'll finish 14th here tonight, and Benjamin Miles will complete the top 15. Then you got Reggie Fogelman in 16th place. Now, Reggie came into this one a total of, let me just double check my math here, he was 17 points below the cut line. He's not going to make up a whole lot of ground on Destin Bolin. He's not going to make up a whole lot of ground on Jack Mitchell, on Alexander Rowe, on Nick Gunther, on R.J. Bishop. He is more than likely going to find himself, I would say, maybe in a must-win situation going into next week. He needed a lot better a finish than that, and he needed a lot of drivers in front of him to run into some issues here tonight. The only drivers that really did were Carson Gum, who he was only 9 points behind, Daniel Voiles, who is already locked into the next round, and who was the other driver that had an issue? Jack Mitchell, who is going to finish the second highest of the lap cars. Could have been a lot worse for him. So I think for Reggie Fogelman, we'll have to see about the math, but it'll be very difficult for him to point his way into the Final Four. He may be in must-win going into next week, which is shocking because he had one of the best second rounds of the playoffs here, maybe aside from Jack Mitchell. You also have Destin Bolin, who came in the cut line driver, 4th in the standings, who's going to finish in 18th. Now, he will finish not too far behind Reggie Fogelman, just ahead of Jack Mitchell, but Nick Gunther's performance, let's see, Gunther finishes 9th, Bolin 18th, so that was 9 position separation, and the two of them were separated by 2 points coming into this race. So I believe Bolin is now going to be on the outside looking in. Gunther is going to move into the Final Four, at least right now, heading into Rockingham, but could have been a lot worse finish for Destin Bolin. Let's bear that in mind as well. Mitchell is actually going to finish the highest of the lap down cars. I thought he was second highest, but he'll finish the highest of the lap down cars in 22nd. This is a driver that if we had stayed green when he made his green flag pit stop and drivers did not come to pit road of the lead lap cars, he was destined to finish somewhere back around the 35th, 36th position. This is a bit of a net gain. It's not exactly a great finish, but it could have been a lot worse for Mitchell. He'll still be within striking distance of a Final Four spot going into Rockingham next week. And then a couple of drivers here that things did not fare all that well for them. Daniel Voiles, 29th, a lap down. Again, doesn't really matter. He's locked into the next round regardless. He's going to fight for the championship, so he can afford a bad race tonight. He could afford a bad race next week at Rockingham, and the big one's going to be Carson Gum. I almost wonder if this is going to put Carson in a must-win situation next week as well. He was only a total of 8 points below the cut line coming into tonight, but a dead last finish, that's only 1 point he's going to get here this evening. I think that he's going to be must-win next week if he's going to have a shot at being a multi-time champion here in the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. But Ryan Brommer, second win on the season for him, joins the multi-win club, which a lot of drivers have been a part of here in Season 8, as he takes the checkered flag here at Daytona. Congratulations to him. Toyota actually sweeps this weekend at Daytona. Eli Bright was in a Toyota Supra here yesterday afternoon, and Ryan Brommer wins in a Toyota Camry. So the Toyotas look like they might be the ones to beat here at Daytona going forward. We'll have to keep tabs on that when we come back here to this venue in Season 9. But thank you all for tuning into this race here from the World Center of Racing. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the crew today. We have shown you your full fissure results, and you're now looking at your point standings and your playoff points heading into next week, our final elimination race, as we will be at the historic North Carolina Speedway, also known as Rockingham. We'll have the lights drivers there. We'll have the cup drivers there. We will be determining the final four in both of those respective series. We know at least one driver for each series that is locked in. Eli Bright on the light side, Daniel Voiles on the cup side. 3 drivers in each series still yet to be determined to make up the final four for the championship. Who will they be? We'll find out next week. We'll have lights qualifying on Friday at 3. Cup qualifying Saturday at 1. The lights drivers will take their green flag at 3 o'clock on that Saturday, and then Sunday at 1, it is the Cup Series drivers to cap off the race weekend from Rockingham. But until next weekend, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.
The following has been a presentation of NNSCRA TV for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of the NNSCRA is prohibited. NNSCRA would like to thank all of our loyal fans, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.